And we are live. I love it when it says you are live. Hello, everybody. I know people are probably still uh, preparing to join the link or the live, but I think, I always like us to proceed and then people will just find us on the way. And what's beautiful is this is recorded, so they can always find the conversation, even post the session. Um, Welcome everybody from wherever you are joining us in the different parts of this beautiful earth that we are privileged to inhabit in this particular time in history. My name is Bongeka Mhlongo, and I am the author of this book, Thinking in Full Color. And today, I'm joined by Kristin Ransome, founder of the Connection Academy, and she is going to talk to us about joy management. I am so excited. So I think before we delve into the conversation or the meat of the conversation, I always like to just give a bit of context around the Full Color Leader Series conversations. I think, really these conversations that we have were inspired by my book, Thinking in Full Color. I really wrote the book with an intention to really make the world a more beautiful place. That's always the thing that I say. One of my biggest contributions is to play my small part in my generation in living some sort of imprint. And I know that a big tool that really transforms the world, it starts there, conversations. I bridge that enable us to see another person's world. Conversations are seeds that link up into actions. So a lot of the conversations we have on this platform are really meant to make the world a better place in whatever form that is. So to those who are joining us, please say hello on the comments so that we know we are not by ourselves. Tell us where you are joining us from, which part of the world you're joining us from. How's your Thursday going? How you feeling? Hope you're good. I know it's a work day or a school day for most people. But yeah, we're excited that you could join us and really be a part of this conversation. Alrighty, cool. So, Kristin, how are you doing?
I am well. I'm so happy to be here. So also firstly, thank you so much for having me. As I was saying just before we went live, um, I always find it such a privilege to join these kinds of conversations for people who have the heart for these conversations. They don't just understand them, but they really feel them. So I'm really excited to be here and to share more with you about joy and joy management. And when you say part of the reason you wrote your book was to help people, to help make the world a more beautiful place, I think part of my mission is to help people see that the world is already a beautiful place, and it's noticing all that we are already a part of. I'm really excited to get into the conversation with you today.
Sure. I love that. So it's noticing, and what a incredible proposition. And I say it like that, considering the times that we are also living in, where a lot of what people are noticing is not the light, it's not the beauty. And so it's I think it's courageous. It's a courageous path, and I'm so grateful to you for saying yes to the idea, because I do believe that ideas are divine, and they visit whoever that they choose, but not everybody listens and obeys them, and thank you for that. So perhaps to understand a bit. I mean, you've told me a bit of your story. Here you are okay. You will tell the people where you are, but I'm always curious because to know the person, right? Like the genesis of the person, where they come from, their home. I mean, I think as South Africans, there's a big emphasis on your essence, on your homeness. So I'm just curious, who is Kristin? who is this beautiful woman before me?
Big question to start us off. I love it. Yeah, so Kristin. So yeah, I am an executive coach and speaker. I am on a mission to inspire joy. And yeah, I'm excited to get into what that means and the different ways that I am living this mission in my life and in my career.
Yeah.
I am a South African. I currently live in Dublin, Ireland, so in the cold Northern Hemisphere. I moved here in 2019, came over because I got an incredible career opportunity to work at Google. And for me, I was still quite early into my career. I saw that as just the best opportunity to see this as not just a company, but a university of life, a place that had so much resource, both in terms of the talent of the people, but also the resource, the trainings available to me and so on. And I set this intention when I moved abroad to learn as much as I could about myself and about the world, things that I wouldn't have learned in business school or in high school, for that matter, that I could shape my career in a more creative way. Yeah, and parallel to my full-time role, I was working in sales in the sub-Saharan African team. I immersed myself in personal development work streams in Google and found myself delivering workshops to people in Google all around the world, helping them craft a deeper sense of purpose into their lives and their careers. And I just remember feeling like this content should not be limited to people in these companies only. It should be available to everyone. And from that moment, I kind of had this passion to take everything I was learning and share it, amplify it. So a year later, that's when COVID hit us and I was at home. I started Connection Academy, which began as just my podcast. It was a platform to have conversations about human connection.
Yeah.
And one of the first people I interviewed on that podcast was an incredible woman called Dr. Trudy Meehan. She is a lecturer and researcher of positive psychology. And she said, when it comes to our well-being, people want more than the absence of suffering. And I knew this to be true. I saw in all these different personal development workshops I was doing that we absolutely can teach people to cultivate qualities of love and to live from a space of love. And in doing so, to really enjoy their life, regardless of their circumstances. And yeah, that kind of set me on a very different path. So yeah, as I said, I live in Dublin. I'm currently still working in the technology sector. I train leaders across Europe. I think that leaders have a huge role to play in promoting positive well-being, especially at work, which is where we spend most of our time.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I mentioned, I founded Connection Academy, which is my business. It's a personal development platform where I offer life coaching, speaking, and workshops, training people on joy management.
Can I just tell you, what a beautiful introduction. So, like, I want to use the word nourishing, but like it's so there's a depthness. I don't know. I'm struggling to find just the word, but there's an authenticness, there's a depthness, and I can connect and resonate to the spirit at which you share that. And I wanted to say this to you earlier. Connection Academy, your guys' website, I love it. Like that. When you go to and I mean, maybe you'll still touch on it when we progress with the conversation around, maybe there was a strategy around that. But when you go to your website, there's a warmth, that yellow, the way you guys formatted things, because I love things that look aesthetically pleasing and are well put together, but there's a warmthness. I don't know how to explain this about how you formatted that first encounter with really your organization.
Thank you. Yeah, and well, when you say you guys, I will claim that I did all of that off the back of many YouTube tutorials. And yeah, the yellow color is representative of joy and of light, and that light is always there. It's just whether or not we see it.
Wow.
So I'm glad that you did see it and feel it's just on landing on my website. That's brilliant to hear.
So so then it means one of the questions here, I can't ask you because we kind of but let's see. So I want us to play a little bit of a very short quiz, very short questions. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to, guess questions or read a statement, but it's mostly questions, and then share multiple choice ideas. Obviously, this is very light because you have gone much deeper into the world of joy management. But part of the reason why I like to do these quiz is just perhaps there's certain myths that we could be decoding with these questions. There's certain insight points that you could maybe want to further touch on when we get into them. When I get to ask you other, intricate questions around your work. Mm-hmm. So, right, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So I have what I perceive as the answer. So I wrote down that, but I'll read the statements and then you'll say. So if my answers are correct, I'm gonna be very happy because then it means the expert is aligning. So, what is joy? Is it a scientific experiment? A. B. Is it a feeling of great pleasure and happiness? C. It's a type of food. D. A measurement of time. Or E. Actually, none of the above fits that description of joy.
I'm leaning towards, I think what you said was B. If you can say it again. Great experience.
A feeling of great pleasure and happiness.
Yeah. It's partly that.
Partly that. Okay. Yeah. So I also wrote most from this list. This is the closest, but bigger than this. Mm-hmm. In this response. All right, cool. And then the other question is, but the color thing. But anyway, we'll still ask it. What color is often associated with joy? Is it black? Is it brown? Is it yellow? Is it black A? Is it brown B? Is it yellow C? Or is it D, gray?
We'll go with yellow. At anything bright, anything warm.
I wonder, maybe you'll unpack for us if there is some sort of, I don't know, research or whatever around the color thing, but we'll get to that. And then, which neurotransmitter is often associated with joy? Is it A, caffeine? A, serotonin, B, caffeine, C, insulin, or D, dopamine?
I am actually not a neuroscientist, so I would not want to actually give a response to that. I think it would be a bit of serotonin and perhaps dopamine, probably more dopamine. Yeah, but good stuff, not the trash dopamine that we are all addicted to, the good dopamine.
Yeah. I also, that's the answer I wrote to say, I guess that's what people are, you would argue, chasing that sense of, but it can only be really birthed from inside of you, right? Not outside. All right, cool. And then question number 4. Complete the saying. This is too easy. Laughter is the best A, friend, B, sleep aid, C, medicine, or D, workout.
Medicine.
And then the final question. What's the importance of really joy in our daily lives? Is it A, it's irrelevant, or B, it contributes to our overall positive well-being, C, it causes stress, and D, it hinders our productivity?
I would say it is the source of our positive well-being.
Ooh, the source. So, ma'am, as you say, it is the source of our positive well-being. In your own words, because I find that we talk about, maybe we start with joy before we get into the bigger science of joy management. How do you and I guess as part of your organization define joy?
Mm. Yeah. I think the first thing that people think is that joy and happiness are the same thing.
Mhm.
And I don't want to get caught up in language here, but I will say that joy is a kind of happiness that does not
Mhm.
depend on what is happening.
Sure.
It is an
Sure.
unconditional happiness.
Mm.
It is an unreasonable happiness. It doesn't need a reason to exist. You could take it further to say it is an unconditional love. And
Mm.
it's the ability to bring this unconditional love into your life.
Wow.
And we have such limited vocabulary for the word love. We
Mhm.
say, I love Netflix and I love my parents. I love my
Mm.
children. And for me, I think we are existing in a time where we need to expand upon what does it mean to love and
Mm.
what does it mean to love the very nature of life itself and to
Mm.
bring that love into our life,
Sure.
to express love in all
Mm.
that we do. Um, this is what it means to be joyful. It's
Sure.
to cultivate those inner qualities and to choose to express them in your life.
Mm. Wow. A lot of what you're saying reminds me, and I'm sure you maybe you've come across him. A lot of the work and the mission of Sadhguru around his inner management,
Mhm.
I guess evangelism, for lack of a better word. And you said two very profound things around the the unconditionalness of joy, that it's not dependent on what is happening to you. But obviously, Kristen, this is hard. Like, I'm gonna be the first. Like, I mean, I've been on this journey, this inner journey, and it's a work in progress, and I think I'm still gonna be in it. So, how do we um how do we do this? Because we want to have the sense of deep inner joy, and whether I lose my job today or my house or whatever happens around me, I still want to be like, yeah,
Mm.
how do I do that?
Mm. Yeah. Well, I would say firstly, like I feel like the culture globally is one that promotes positivity
Mm,
to the point where we deny many of the very normal, natural, necessary human emotions that make us
mm,
feel whole.
sure.
So, I mean, just to stay with your example, if you had to lose your job or lose your
Mm,
house, it is
mm,
okay to not be okay. Um,
mm,
I think it's actually important to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you need to feel, um,
mm,
choosing to allow yourself to feel that. so that it doesn't reactively seep out of you in the years to follow. To kind of say that as a backdrop. I want to ask you a question back here to just respond to your question. So you're asking how can we do this? How can we have this unconditional love? The first thing I want to say is that it's not a destination that you arrive at. Joy is a way of being in the world.
It's a way of
it's a
being.
way of being. It's not just something that you do, it's something that you are. And when you remember that, you can say this is a lifelong practice. It's not that I'm going to listen to this talk, I'm going to read this book, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be my best, most joyful self.
Tick, 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 tick.
So let's make this practical. My question to you is, if you had to just think about someone you really love, you don't have to say them, just bring them into your mind. What would be 3 to 5 qualities you love in this person?
Oh my goodness. I mean, the person that comes to mind, okay. I love their kindness. I love that they are such an incredible listener, that when you are sharing something, it's almost as if you're the only person in that moment, in that room. I love their laughter and the sense of humor. I'm even thinking about it, that I'm always laughing, and I love to laugh when I'm with them. I love that they're fun. I think life, we are meant to have a pleasurable existence as much as life can have its challenges, but fun is a portal of pleasure. Pleasure is not just sensual, but there's many portals of pleasure. Yeah, I'll stop there for now.
Okay, so you've said kind, they're a good listener, humor, fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's so many other things you could keep adding to that list. So maybe anyone that's listening to this, if you had to consider someone you love, what qualities do you love about them? Maybe just write some of those qualities down. The question we're looking at is, how do you practice joy? How do you cultivate joy? And my response to you is, whatever those qualities you have written down, you practice those qualities in your own life.
Sure. Wow. So you are saying, wow, wait, wow. So you are saying to us, and guys, I hope, this is so beautiful. Thank you. Like, this is so beautiful. You're saying to us, not if, there's a person or people that we love, there's a particular reason, there's a particular human experience we have with them, human exchange. Let's write those things down. Let's firstly notice them. So what you said earlier about noticing the beautiful things in the world, write them down, and then practice that for ourselves. So if I say, really love that this person is such an incredible listener, I feel joyful and loved when somebody listens. That should be something I practice as a lifestyle, to be a better listener. Wow.
Yes.
To be more kind. Wow.
Yes,
I
exactly.
think that's doable, guys. Don't you guys think at home or wherever you? I think that's so doable.
Yeah. So I think why I feel so drawn to this is often, especially in the workplace, when we speak about emotions, people often use the word fluffy. This is the fluffy stuff.
Oh,
And it's because we haven't found the vocabulary to actually operationalize, what does kindness mean?
yeah.
Just as one example.
Yeah.
So you want to make a list of, what does it mean to be loving for yourself? It's going to be slightly differently for all of us. You said to be kind, to listen, to have a sense of humor, to have fun. I might add there, to be accepting, to be gentle, to be
Mm.
present, things like this, right? Now you want to take it a step further and actually operationalize that. So sit with each one of those qualities and ask yourself, what does it mean to be kind?
Yeah.
Where in my life
Mm.
am I being kind? And where in my life am I being called to express more kindness?
Mm.
And joy, a joyful person is not someone who has a life void of discomfort. They are somebody who has learned how to respond to life in a way that creates peace, not more problems.
Mm.
And one of my favorite quotes comes from Pema Chodron. She's a Tibetan American Buddhist nun. And
Mm.
says, the things you call obstacles are
Mm.
just life showing you where you are still stuck.
Sure.
And those obstacles, when you encounter them, whether it's that difficult colleague at work or finance problems you're having, it's always an invitation to ask yourself, can I bring patience here? Can I bring kindness here? Can I bring a sense of humor here? Is that easy? Absolutely not. And that is why joy management means that we actually have to practice these competencies and to actually operationalize them in our life and to forgive ourselves too when we don't do the perfect job at doing so. And does the perfect job even exist? Yeah, and I have personally found that a really freeing perspective because every time I find myself going through something difficult, I now ask, how can I practice here what I preach? What would it look like to bring love into this space? Not to look for it out there in the world, but right now in this space, can I choose how I'm going to show up? Because that is the most basic human freedom we have is our choice. And to choose means to be conscious. And if you bring that consciousness into your life and you choose how to express yourself, I just think that is the most freeing, beautiful way you can live your life.
Just soaking in. Because you really are speaking to my heart in such a deep way. There's one of my favorite quotes. Just remembering because you were touching on a quote, but one of my favorite thinkers who is an advertising guru, is an Englishman, Sir John Haggerty, and one of his statements was that all great creative outputs or art are born from a place of what do you believe? Like, what's your philosophy about the world? So for example, you've touched on Connection Academy and the work you do around joy management and other parts. You have this deep desire, there's a philosophy to make people see, the beauty that already exists in the world. um and so I love when we create, because what you've because creative products are not just art or music or books. Organizations are creative products. It's an idea that you are bringing to life. But I was so curious because I think one of the things that I read a lot of your posts on LinkedIn whenever it pops up. But this particular one, when you were launching, the joy management and your Connection Academy, you touched on this shift from stress management to joy management, and I remember thinking, wow, this is obviously I'm like, yes, I love it. But I was thinking about the millions of books, of courses, of master classes that have been documented around stress management. And I'm just curious from your experience, especially as you are building this new, because you are calling upon us, you are calling us to have a shift in our thinking, especially in our work setups, in terms of, we've been saying manage your stress. Now you're saying guys, joy. But I'm curious, what has been your experience just in terms of the feedback from business leaders, from maybe people you've worked with as part of your coaching programs, your leadership development programs, your workshops? What is the reception of this shift?
Mm.
To this new way of us thinking about how we show up in corporate or in the work, not just corporate, but in a workspace setup.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, well, I will say there is definitely still such a huge need for stress management. This is
Mm,
by no means a replacement of stress management.
mm,
Um, as someone who has really struggled with stress in my own life in the past, I know that stress management is incredibly important. Joy
mm,
management is for all those people that are
mm.
fine. You are, they're fine.
Mm,
And part of me just feels like to be
mm,
alive is such a miracle. It's such a
mm,
beautiful miracle. And
mm,
to feel like you just waking up on a Monday complaining about
mm,
whatever you've got in line for the day, for the week, waiting for the weekend. Weekend goes by in a blur, rinse and repeat, do it all again. What is the point of that? And yet, that is how so many of us live.
mm,
Um, this theme around purpose is a really big theme that I touch upon within joy management. It's
mm,
something that is really important to people within the context of their careers. And I'm noticing that it's something big
mm.
corporates do not understand.
Yep.
So I think if there's one thing I'll touch on, it's going to be that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
myth that I want to bust around purpose.
Yeah.
And maybe you can think about this in the context of career,
Mm,
is that many people think purpose is something that you do. So maybe
mm,
if I find that dream
mm,
job, or if I get
mm.
that opportunity, or this promotion, or if I move to this country, then I will experience a sense of purpose. And I always like to put this distinguishing point that purpose is not found in what you do; it's
Mm.
found in expressing who you are. What
Ooh, thank you. Yeah.
And you need to then go on some kind of exploration of asking the questions, well, who am I?
Yeah.
And instead of turning your attention outwards, which is what much of our formal education teaches us to do, it educates us about the world around us, you turn it inwards and you actually introspect and you start learning more about who you are as a human being.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm jumping because I mean, purpose is the cornerstone of Pin the Vision, my organization, because it's the cornerstone of my life. And I'm jumping, I want to jump over my seat, but I won't because one of the essays I touch on in the book, in the section I want workspaces, is this concept of repurposing purpose. And which was my, I guess, advocacy around exactly your point that I had to learn in my own life. And I talk about my own frustrations until I came to a point where I realized, hold on, I can repurpose my purpose in the space that I am. I had a particular vision of, okay, my purpose would be this or be that. And that shifted the way I live my life and the way I approach my career forever. Once that penny dropped. And I like what you're saying inwards. Whenever young people ask me, I always say, trace the patterns of your life. I don't think we do that enough. From the time you're young, there's clues,
Mm,
around what are the things that you do that make you come alive. Trace those patterns because I even struggle with the concept that you awaken to purpose when you are a working person. I struggle with that. I think we always are living purpose, just that maybe we don't have the vocabulary and the consciousness of it when we're younger. But yeah, but I think oh, sorry, continue. I do want you to you know, because I know you look at joy management in three broad ways, and I'm sorry for disturb, but I do want you to touch on that now, because you were already on that tip around presence, purpose, and possibility.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll touch on those, and I'm going to try and make these practical for people that are listening in.
Yeah.
So yeah, presence, purpose, and possibility. These are kind of the cornerstones of joy management, and each of them break down into very practical things that we can all do in our day-to-day life to experience more joy, more of that unconditional happiness, more of that deep love from the inside that we can then express no matter what our circumstances. So the first one is presence. My greatest role model in this space has been Eckhart Tolle. So if you haven't read his books, please go ahead and do so. But ultimately, presence. Life is all in the present moment. The present moment is all we ever have. And yes, every single one of us has a past, and those things did happen, and we will have a future. That's not guaranteed either. But life is only ever happening right now, in this moment. And you can look at your life as beginning and an end, consisting of millions of different moments. And the more of those moments you can actually access in a deep felt sense, that is where you start to experience more joy. So practically how we can do that, and there's many ways, but I'm just gonna share one, is when we look at what it means to be whole, a whole human, we need to acknowledge that we have an intellectual intelligence, emotional, spiritual, and we have a body. You know, a lot of people, especially in modern day workplace, it's like their body is the transport vehicle for their mind, and that's it. Your body lives in the present moment. The mind is a time traveler that goes into the past and into the future, worrying about what might happen, thinking about what did happen. And it's our mind that pulls us out of the present moment. So a powerful way to get back into the present moment is to sense into your body and resensitize yourself. This is something that we can all do, and it is through breath, movement, and through sensory practice that we bring more awareness back into our bodies and we can access this moment. As a practical example, just to break this down further, I'm just going to choose one of those, movement. If you are working from home, take breaks throughout the day. Do a bit of dancing, walk around your house. These types of things, they sound so simple, but common sense is often not common practice, and it is the small changes that we make that are the most sustainable in the long run. So this is about presence. How can you feel that you are alive right now? You need to do that through actually embodying this body that you live in. And we can do that through those three different areas: breath work, movement practice, and sensory practice. So that would be a piece on presence. I'll speak briefly on the other two. Purpose. Once again, very big word, means something different to all of us. But if I have to say one thing, it's purpose is how you express yourself. Your purpose is not a job, it's not a place, it's not a person, it's how you choose to express yourself. Your purpose is the many ways you express love in your life. So practically, there's three areas that you can look at here once again: your personal values, your talents, your passions. If you can discover what these are for you, these are the creative resources that live within you. And when you discover them, you can then consciously choose how you can express them and how you can bring your life into being as a creative act. And to me, that is purpose. That is living empowered, saying, I have all these things inside me. I have everything I already need right here.
Wow.
Yes, I can fine tune it and I can work on it, but I have it all already. And it's, can I take responsibility? Can I choose to respond to life with what I have? That is the purpose piece. So joy management workshops that I would run, we would actually discover what those three different pillars are for you: your values, your passions, your talents. How can you consciously bring them into your life more practically? And then the last one, so we've spoken about presence, we've spoken briefly about purpose. The last one is possibility. And for me, this is all about how do you use your imagination? People, we don't use our imagination. We get used by our imagination.
Yo, please repeat that. What?
So if we think about anxiety, a lot of our anxious energy is because our imagination is unconsciously thinking about all these things, creating scenarios. So much of the misery we have as people is created by us, but we don't choose it to be like that. And that's when it feels like life happens to you. What I'm saying is that it is possible to learn how to use your imagination to envision a positive, hopeful vision for the future that inspires how you act today. And the purpose of setting a vision for the future is to help you become more conscious of the resources you have around you and within you, and how you can use them today to create the life that you ultimately want. And when we do that, we come to see that what's possible for us is truly infinite. But you have to get honest with yourself about what you want. And that's where we need to do a lot of that hard work, because we are all so conditioned to think that certain things are important, that certain jobs are better than others, that having status and money and reputation, that this is what makes life meaningful. And it's absolutely not. There are a lot of really successful people who are deeply unhappy, who do not have peace inside them. I think it is up to us and our generation to change that around and to prioritize peace before profit and before productivity. Peace inside equals peace outside, and we have to learn how to cultivate those qualities of peace. And in doing so, that is what it means to live a joyful life. I've tried to summarize those three big pillars in a simple, practical way here.
I think you're noticing that you are, and I'm supposed to be professional, but I wish I could just be sitting on a tree and I'm under a tree or somewhere and I'm just soaking in, But this is beautiful. But I'm grateful. I'm going to go back for myself and listen to this again. But the profoundness of what you said, I mean, especially when you on the in fact, all of those three buckets. Oh my goodness. Wow. So for me, I mean, now I have to wear. Obviously, I'm wearing the whole facilitator's hat. For how do we contact your organization? I guess in two ways, right? You maybe have people who saying, "Hey, Kristin, I resonate. I'm in this phase of my life where I'm really rethinking again what you're saying, how I express myself in the world, and I want to partner or be part of a movement, an organization that is doing light work and work that I resonate with." As a practitioner or somebody that potentially could partner with you, whether it's a workshop facilitator, a coach, how do I do that? And then there's the first part. And then the second part is I'm a corporate leader and I'm loving what you're sharing. And I'm a different kind of corporate leader, and 2024 is kicking in. I want my team to go through a new kind of experience. How do we reach out to you? And then maybe you can also touch on the individual who may not be part of a corporate or workspace, but would want to work this path and have the tools that you've just shared with us.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for that question. So yeah, very practically, you can find my website, connectionacademy.co.
Connectionacademy.co.
That would be one place. The other place is you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can feel free to send me a DM there on any questions that you have, and if you want to collaborate in any way, or if you'd like me to come speak at your organization. I love working with people that resonate with what I have to say, because for me, they are the conduits for what I'm speaking about. You don't have to understand this stuff. That's the whole essence of what I'm saying. You are already where you need to be. It's just getting clear on those values and how you want to operationalize them more in your own life. So check out my website, connectionacademy.co. You can reach out on LinkedIn. You can also find me on Instagram, also Connection Academy Co. Those three platforms, and maybe we can put them up as a link here on the video.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. We shall do that. We've shared the website, and then I just want to, just looking at the time, Kristin, there's some questions here from the audience. So maybe I can just, jump onto that. And then, yeah, you could just address some of these questions from the guys. So I believe you're also live on, LinkedIn. I'm assuming that some of these questions come from there. So this question says, oh, it's a comment. Wow, I love that. The world is already an incredible place. Viewpoint. Okay, that is the comment there. And then, what are some simple and practical habits that any person can adapt in everyday lives in order to become a joyous person, in spite of whatever circumstance they may encounter? I think you've touched on that, but I mean, if there is a summary that you want to share with them around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think one practice I can share with you is to slow down. Go on a slow walk, your nervous system back to baseline. Because if you are finding yourself in a difficult circumstance, what is probably happening for you is your fear responses are triggered. You can go into that fight, flight, or freeze response. And often you act in a compulsive, reactive way. And when we're speaking about joy, it is an intentional, responsible way of being. But to get yourself there, you need to notice, okay, I'm stressed, the heart is racing, I'm feeling anxious, my stomach is tight. To notice it, to not judge that, to just slow down. So for me, going for a very slow walk during the day across the office, powerful, simple, to just re-inhabit your body. Because once again, that is what brings you back into the present moment. And only from there can you consciously make choices that align to what is truly important to you.
Sure. Thank you so much. I've also shared just some of the links for LinkedIn, Instagram. Can find Kristin there. And then the next question, I commend Kristin for being able to create connection, or I think they meant Connection Academy during the pandemic, because that period was infamous for leading a lot of people into depression. Oh yes, this Connection Academy, which is so true. And then there's more of a personal question for you, Kristin, here around what are Kristin's core beliefs that she believes contributes to her being a joyous person?
I don't know if it's a belief. It's the ability to observe my beliefs.
Sure.
That's it. Our mental health challenges that we have and the suffering that we encounter is that we take our beliefs as truth. That inflicts a lot of pain on ourselves. And sadly, as we can see in our world, it makes us inflict a lot of pain on other people. Your beliefs are a very small part of who you are. They are often things that are unconsciously created within your mind. They come from our conditioning. And oftentimes we don't actually believe in them. If we had to really sit and ask myself, do I believe that to be true? Is that true for me? You'll find the answer is no. And to offer you a practice here, if you're finding yourself going through a challenging experience, feeling stressed, feeling anxious, to actually pause and ask yourself, what am I believing to be true? And to sit with that question, and sometimes even have the courage to get a pen and paper and write it down. That can be really uncomfortable because now you're going to encounter the part of your mind that can really be a dark place. But once you do that, you are shining a light onto that part of your mind. And that is how you take ownership back on the choices that you're making. What am I believing to be true? Because instantly, whatever comes through there, if it's not true for you, it will start to dissolve. And if you are carrying beliefs that you have carried your entire life and perhaps have been carried through generations in your family, in your community group, you're going to have to revisit them time and time again for them to dissolve and become lighter over time. And that's why practicing joy management is a practice. It's not a once-off thing. It's saying every time I encounter resistance, that is a choice. How am I going to show up? How can I express love in this space? And we need to do the same thing with our own beliefs. My beliefs are no better than anyone else's beliefs. They are just beliefs. They are the storyline we create about life. And I always like to say, notice that you live in two parallel worlds, reality and the story you create about reality. Your beliefs live here in the story. It is completely subjective. It is often not true. It's often
there's a lot of drama sometimes when you reflect and you're like,
and it's learning to notice the story and realize that you are the author of that story. Can you take creative responsibility for being the author of the story of your own life?
Wow.
And something that to forgive yourself, because the script that's come before this moment, you're going to look back on certain chapters and be like, oh my word, what was happening over there? But it doesn't matter. It's in the past. You have to let it go. You have to welcome each moment as if you had chosen it and to realize that you are creating your life right now. That is all that you can ever control. This moment, right now.
Wow. Sure. You remind me of something you said earlier that a lot of us, that is a powerful quote. I'm going to use that quote going forward in so many things but you know, when you said a lot of us do not use our imagination, we are used by our imagination. What a profound thing for us to think about.
But on that, because it can become quite heavy, I'm going to go all the way back. Earlier, you told me something that's important to you, and a way of expressing love is fun and humor.
Yeah.
We need to learn to laugh at ourselves and to notice when your imagination is using you and it's telling you things like you are useless, you don't belong here, you're never going to be good enough. And it tells you the storyline, right? It's created this whole script about this person that does not belong. Yeah, you have to learn to laugh at that. And to say,
wow,
look at this storyline. Look, this is very personal for me. I have struggled a lot in my own life with experiences of self-doubt. And I've had people in my personal life coming from a space of good intention saying, you need to stop doubting yourself. As simple as that, because doubt is a normal, natural, necessary response to anything new and unfamiliar. How to doubt. You need to learn how to hold space for fear without compulsively reacting to it. And that is a practice. It takes practice. That's why this is such a strength. It is
Wow.
it is easy to live a fearful, reactive, small life. It is challenging and strong to take up space and to shine and to love and to give of yourself wherever you find yourself, because it takes practice. We inherently want to shrink because that can feel safe, but that's not what's fulfilling for us.
Wow. And oh, this is so beautiful. I'm so convinced that the more, the more I live life and the more I walk my own paths with deeper journey around joy and my own purpose and clarity around my contribution in the world, the more I realize it's not the big things. Of course, it's nice to do a big body of work in the world, but it's success is in the daily practice. Hey, that is the magic. That every day, I call it my daily pilgrimage. The things I do when no one can see, no one that that is the sweet spot of success. No
We
one can see what is the talks I have with myself. The first thing I think about when I wake up and I speak, that's the daily pilgrimage, the daily practices. Sure.
Well, you've got Maya Angelou there on the wall behind you, and
Rebel.
her success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it.
Wow.
And I would take it further that success is loving yourself, loving what you do, and loving how you do it. I think it's quite impossible to like everything. We cannot like every part of our job. We cannot like every part of our lives. Life has natural and necessary pain, but we can learn to be loving in those moments. And that is where the practice comes in.
But also the unconditional love, because our brain is also wired where we always want to find a reason to love ourselves, and there's nothing wrong with us to pick up. But I find, which is what you were saying, even in moments where maybe I did something and I'm disappointed in myself, and I like what you say, I need to feel that, oh yeah, I'm not in a good space. But how I resurrect myself again, the daily practice is for me the magic. The feeling of feeling down, the feeling of feeling depressed and sad is okay. But it's the daily path, whether it happens the next day or a few days later. But for me, that is the sweet spot of how you return to your love of self, your love of what you do. Because that's the joy.
And I do think that, there's so much talk about self-love, and I also would say there's a lot of toxic advice going around social media too.
What do you mean? I thought self-love was about me going to the spa all day and sending you guys tweets that your lives are bad.
And I mean, I would say everyone listening to this, you are a human being. At some point in your life, you have encountered love and a deep love. You know what that feels like. Don't try to understand it. Feel it. Experience it. This is where it's at. It's not something that we can understand. It's not something we can put in a box. It's not something we can create a hand guide for. You know what it feels like, and you need to live from that space. And I also want to say, when it comes to these difficult experiences, you can practice in small ways. And I would actually always encourage you to start with the smallest thing. Don't start with your most challenging thing that you're struggling with right now. As an example, a small thing might be, I'm going to choose a practice, and that's going to be my commute to work, where I sit in the traffic for half an hour. And I'm going to set a goal to loosen the grip on the handle, on the steering wheel. I'm going to not swear at anyone in the traffic.
Sure.
That might be the basic starting point for you. And you can dial it up from there. Maybe one day you're actually going to greet people that you drive past. I don't know. You can get creative here with it. But You need to choose a practice that's currently not the most comfortable for you, where you can practice those qualities of love, patience, kindness, humor, acceptance, forgiveness. Where can you practice those for yourself? And have some fun with them. This can feel quite serious, but a personal philosophy of mine is that you can do serious things without taking yourself seriously.
Seriously, I like that. We can do serious things without taking ourselves too seriously. Yeah.
That's it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kristin. I mean, there's a final comment there that says, Kristin, your ability to impart wisdom in such a simple manner is profound. Thank you. I have learned a great deal today. Yeah, wow. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much to you for saying yes, Kristin, and just sharing your heart with us. I am so nourished, and I'm so grateful that you could join us and join this platform. And thank you to everybody who joined, and to the guys who are going to watch this, because I know a couple of my friends were like, "Oh, sleeping at work." Like, guys, the recording is available forever. It's fine. You can still watch it afterwards and comment and reach out, please. And then I know, there's probably going to be business leaders definitely interested in practitioners that I know who are probably interested in the kind of work that you're doing. So I know they will reach out to you. I'm so grateful. And guys, again, also my book. I know sometimes I forget to write that down, but it is available on Amazon for those who are outside the country, both as an ebook and as a paperback. And in South Africa, you can find it on my Pin the Vision platform, as well as the Pin the Vision website. Or you can also DM me on LinkedIn and Instagram. And I think it's also available on the Al Kabulan platform. Yeah, but Kristin, are there any final concluding thoughts from your side, and before we wrap it up on our side?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's been a beautiful conversation. It's taken directions I wasn't expecting myself. And I think the lesson there is that that's what life is.
Yeah.
Don't try to control it. Don't try to understand it, but experience it and celebrate it as it happens. And thank you for holding space for me to share what I'm most passionate about and what I find so much purpose in myself. It's been so wonderful being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody. Hope you, well, I don't know, it's evening, South Africa, wherever you are, enjoy your life, really. Bye.